Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. This is the 10th episode of the story, where things go wrong during the last Sasuke retrieval mission, and Naruto is blamed. Tired of everything being his fault, he creates a new way of thinking that contradicts every belief he once held. The issue is that not everyone appears to be thrilled with the change. To show your support, like and subscribe. Let's get this show going. After bowing to his proctors, Naruto left towards the place where he normally goes once he sees that the sun is setting. Yamato told him that he was to arrive at the Hokage's office the next day for the debriefing of the exam results. As he was walking, flashes of his exams passed through his mind and Naruto found that he displayed his abilities well enough, despite almost losing the Fuuten ninjutsu part of the exam. The man he fought against was the elite of the elite and surely, no Chunin would measure their abilities with a top-notch Anbu, but Naruto was different. While he didn't know he had the experience to pass as a Jounin, he trained long enough to know where his skills lay. However, this Anbu member was miles away from him in terms of Fuuten manipulation and truth be told, Naruto kind of used him as a goal. He remembered hearing what the man referred to as air and gravity manipulation and now Naruto was curious as hell. He knew that material about Fuuten ninjutsu was scarce around Konoha and the only material about such advanced manipulation was restricted to Jounin and higher status. As he arrived at his destination, he jumped at the Ondaime's head, before seating and looking at the view of the sun setting on Konoha, supplying the blonde with some perfect alone time to talk to the one man he never got to meet before. "Well, Dad, I did good on the Jounin trials today. Did you get to see?" said Naruto to no one at all, just hoping to one day, get to at least hear the man that was his father almost 16 years ago. He knew, though, that it was only his mind wondering about things and quickly shut up prior to watch the sunlight just leaving the village, thus leaving an orange color glow in the sky. Suddenly, a familiar voice reached him, thus ending his alone time, but Naruto didn't complain as Aoi jumped from up the mountain and landed right next to the blonde, before looking at the sun setting down. "You sure pick some interesting sight," Naruto said Aoi softly, earning a smile from the blonde who in turn, looked at his sensei only to see that he was wearing a Konoha vest and the village headband. "You know it's a little weird to see you dressing up as one of us. I've heard that you were going to become a Junin sensei, I just didn't figure you'd be enlisted as a Konoha shinobi right away?" asked the blonde, earning a nod from his sensei. "Well, the vest sure is uncomfortable, but then I guess I have to live with it. That Tsunade was getting to my nerves at how I would be able to take on a Junin team and strengthening them up a bit, so I ended up taking it," answered Aoi as he sat down next to the blonde for a while. Suddenly, the older man remembered today it was Naruto's Jounin trials and asked the blonde how it was. The answer, though, didn't satisfy the old man. Naruto got through the Doden part nicely and the Kenjutsu part as well and that was the subject he most dreaded to take. However, Naruto confessed to the old man that, although he managed to win the Fuuten and Jutsu phase, he had to revert to pumping a lot of chakra so that the technique would be able to blow the enemy, thus winning the contest. Aoi berated the blonde for trying to compare his level to the elite of the village when he was just a Chunin, planning to be a Jounin, thus couldn't hope of being at the same level. But Aoi also knew the blonde was stubborn enough to measure himself apart from the elite as he was, sometimes, positioned against A-ranked opponents. The two talked for a while, before Aoi told he had to go since he would have to talk to his landlord to see if a bigger apartment was up for rental, thus leaving Naruto alone once more to wonder. He wondered about a lot of things. He wondered about his girlfriend who was on a mission right now and he didn't know when she was about to return. He wondered about the punishment that Sasuke would receive. He wondered about Orochimaru and Akatsuki and lastly, he wondered if the Hokage would be promoting him to Jounin. All those things sort of rushed at the same time inside his mind, but he took a time to breathe for a while. It wouldn't do any good for him to freak out right now. It's not that those things didn't already pass through his mind before. Focusing one more time on the view in front of him, he realized that the sun was already gone and the moon has already taken its place. Getting up from his father's head, Naruto greeted the man goodbye and marched back towards the village for some dinner, before retiring for the night. As he walked on, his eyes caught trace of several familiar faces like Asuma walking together with Kurenai as well as Kakashi reading his favorite porn while wandering around. He stopped at the ramen stand for some quick dinner and went to his place, before taking his vest off and just resting on his couch for a while. He wasn't much into watching TV and nothing was ever on air that could hold his attention more than a few seconds. So, he just stood there looking to the ceiling, having nothing better to do, when suddenly, someone knocked at his door. Grumbling, he went to open it, revealing Shikamaru standing there. "Hello there Shikamaru, sorry to be rude here, but I wasn't expecting any visitors tonight," muttered Naruto. earning a nod from the Nara who came in and looked around for a second before saying it would be quick, since he, as well, planned to crash pretty soon. This is going to be quick, since it's past normal hours and it's plain troublesome to be awake with no reason. I was just told that Tsunade-sama expects us tomorrow midday at her office, so don't bother waking up early, said Shikamaru, earning a nod from Naruto, who already knew about that, but thanked the Nara anyway. After Shika left the apartment, Naruto closed the door and took off the rest of his clothes before taking a quick shower and, then, went to bed. With Anko just arriving at one of the many public bathhouses that were located within Fire Country, Anko could only carry her body. This happened to be the 10th house she visited in terms of looking after the pervert, but so far, luck wasn't on her side. Of course, the pervert happened to pass through them all, but unfortunately the woman was too late to all of them as Jiraiya didn't stay long enough for her to catch him. This one would be the last of the day, since she was dead tired from traveling so much. Upon remembering Naruto saying that Jiraiya would be located in one of the bathhouses, Anko thought that she would find him in no time. However, after passing through 10 public bathhouses, she began cursing a lot of people. She cursed Jiraiya because he wouldn't stand still and be satisfied to spy on only one bathhouse at a time. He cursed Orochimaru for placing the damned curse seal on her neck. She cursed even her boyfriend for not giving her more clues about Jiraiya's locations. However, in the middle of her curses, her mind suddenly focused on the blonde who became the only person she could trust after the Sun Daime Hokage died. After Orochimaru ditched her, Anko was, forever, named by everyone, a traitor. Only the Hokage happened to think otherwise, hence why he was the only one worthy of Anko's trust. After he died, though, Anko was skeptical over who were really worthy of her trust. She confessed that the goddamn Hokage wasn't one, at least not in the beginning. Nonetheless, Anko trusted her simply because she took the old man's position, nothing more. Naruto, on the other hand, was different than the others. He was loyal, trustworthy, not to mention quite strong and reliable. Her trust even increased when they started dating and Naruto shared the ultimate secret with her about his parenthood. It went without saying that she missed him a lot. When they were separated for a month, Anko had to control her urges not to jump on his neck after seeing him again. She, also, felt sad for missing the blonde's jounin trials, but this was something she had to do and she hoped Naruto would understand. Arriving at the hotel reception, she asked if Jiraiya happened to be listed on the guests. The man took a heavy book and landed it hard on his desk, causing, not only a huge sound, but also a little dust because of it. He apologized for the inconvenience and opened the book on today's date to see if the man known as Jiraiya was registered as a guest. Anko was always skeptical over finding him through his name at the guests list, simply because no ninja would be stupid enough to simply register his real name in a book, thus not give away his real position. However, she had to resist the urge not to fall in dismay upon hearing the man confirming Jiraiya's presence as a guest. Either the man was really strong or really lucky that no one thought to look at the guests list before. Anko remembered being able to find some of her kills the same way as this and wondered if, perhaps, men would do this because they appreciate calling attention to themselves. She always knew the man to be a pervert, but she respected his skills as one of the Sannin. Needless to say, such respect went down a notch. The info about the man's room was easy enough and Anko, then, charged towards the designated room. After knocking a couple times, without any answer, Anko was downright furious. She happened to travel quite a while and was able to find a lead on the pervert, only for the bastard to disappear once again. She was about to leave and rent a room for the day when the door suddenly opened and the pervert was there answering. "Oh Anko, what are you doing here? Is Naruto here with you as well?" asked Jiraiya, though looking around to see if the blonde was just waiting for his guard to drop, until he came and surprised him. Anko for her part answered that she really needed to talk to the man and Naruto wasn't with her at the time, earning a look in wonder from the white-haired Sannin, before he clearly got the wrong idea of things. "Seriously Anko, it's not that I don't find you attractive, but you're with Naruto now and said Jiraiya, but was stopped once he saw a vein popping from her forehead in response to what the man was insinuating, before she delivered a punch to the man's nose. "You wish, pervert, I wouldn't abandon Naruto-kun, but it's because of him that I'm here right now," stated Anko, earning a nod following by a serious nod from Jiraiya, before he went back inside and dressed to leave the room and talk. Once outside the hotel room, Jiraiya and Anko moved to the hotel sushi place and began talking about Anko's reasons to track him, and Jiraiya had to say, he surely wasn't expecting said reason. The curse seal was a touchy subject to Jiraiya, simply because it was one of the only seals that he didn't know a thing about and he was considered to be a seal master, However, the man smiled upon knowing that the girl was doing this not for herself, but for Naruto. Even though he knew that the cursed seal wasn't something Naruto would care at all, he knew about Anko's feelings related to her old master placing a curse on her and how much she wanted it gone for life. Unfortunately, Jiraiya couldn't help her. He didn't have valuable information of the cursed seal, so he couldn't use his knowledge on seals for it, simply because he didn't even know Orochimaru's thinking. "Sorry Anko, but I can't help you. Applying my knowledge on seals would be speculating, and with Orochimaru, you know better than anyone, that you just don't do that. I tried, once, to study the Uchiha's seal, but I couldn't. It's extremely complex and it changes the effect depending on how much the user depends on it," stated Jiraiya, earning a nod from Anko, who in turn was, in reality, expecting an answer like this from the pervert. She knew that no matter how much deeper ran the hate for Orochimaru, no one could fault the man's genius thinking. The cursed seal was his creation after all, so for someone to find its weakness, it would take months, even years, locked inside a library to figure out. "I already knew you'd say that, but I don't want to return home empty-handed. Naruto would be pissed at me, with all due reason, and I want to at least give him something," asked Anko politely, but without avail as Jiraiya wasn't so convinced. After all, he still had a few bathhouses to visit and few ladies to peep on. Upon voicing it, he saw a vein popping on the woman's forehead and he feared the worst, but instead the lady controlled her urges not to beat the crap out of the pervert and turned to explain. "Listen here pervert, I came all the way here for you to find a way to fix my goddamn seal. I missed Naruto's Jounin trials for this, even though it was me who pushed him towards going through with it. He'd be devastated if I returned without anything to rely on, so you're coming with me to Konoha so that you could take a good look at my seal. You say you wasn't able to study the Uchihas because he was already dependent of it, well mine is as dormant as it can be, so it won't be so hard to analyze," shouted Anko, before seeing Jiraiya's two hands telling her to quit as well as saying that he would go, but only if Anko stopped what she was doing. "Okay, I'm going already. I'll be collecting my things and we'll meet you here in 5. Let me tell you something, though. Naruto wouldn't behave like the way you fear he would. He would be, of course, worried about you, but I can guarantee that negative emotions just don't suit him at all," said Jiraiya as he turned around and left towards the hotel, only to stop and hear Anko whispering in sadness. "I'm just saying that he would have every reason to be angry at me. I'd be if I was in his position. The truth of the whole thing, Jiraiya, is that Orochimaru was responsible for every bad thing that happened to my life, and it wouldn't surprise me if something were to happen to Naruto and if Orochimaru decided to, once again, show his face," whispered Anko that last part, telling Jiraiya all there is to know about her. Anko wasn't afraid of the cursed seal or what it could do to her in the future. She was afraid of Snakeface, and the fact that Anko still bears the man's curse on her neck proves that at any given time, Orochimaru could return to do something to her, even if the seal is dormant right now. "Anko, I know that you have every right to fear that bastard, but hear me out when I say that Naruto wouldn't fall so easily in battle. After all, it was Naruto who was able to beat Orochimaru's protege, wasn't it? He'll be just fine. I'll go get my things and we'll return to meet our new Jounin," said Jiraiya before leaving towards the hotel to collect his belongings. In Konoha, after performing his morning ritual, which consisted of a shower, breakfast and wearing his Chunin attire, Naruto left the apartment towards Shikamaru's house. He knew he was supposed to arrive together with him for whatever purpose he wasn't aware of. So, he chose to go see if the lazy bum was already up. Just as Naruto was about to reach for the stairs, he heard the neighbor's door opening and closing, before revealing his Kenjutsu sensei Rikimaru. The two exchanged some words about the training, and Rikimaru expressed that Naruto caused some good impression with Yugao, since now the woman was more social and began to smile every once in a while. Naruto told him about the fight as well as getting himself a sparring partner every once in a while. Eventually, Rikimaru adjusted his mask and greeted Naruto goodbye before using Sunshine to leave. After that it was Naruto's turn, but instead of using chakra to leave, he just jumped towards the next rooftop and looked at the direction he was supposed to make to the Nara's residence. Naruto was glad that some compounds were visible from the top of a building in Konoha. It was easier to find the Rookie Nine's house, should need arise. Naruto spotted the Hyuga and Uchiha compound, which in fact, consisted of a very large area. The Inuzuka and Akimichi compound were also very big, but simply because they had to place the many dogs and, moving on. Upon spotting the Nara residence, Naruto charged towards his destination. It didn't take him more than 2 minutes until he was already at the front gate, ringing the doorbell. It wasn't long until a woman came opening the door, but before Naruto could have the chance to greet her, She turned and screamed back to no one about some lazy bastard that was still asleep and that needed someone to go wake him up, thus telling Naruto all that Naruto needs to know. "Greetings, Mrs. Narasan, I'm friends with Shikamaru and I'm here to pick him up to go to the Hokage's office this morning," said Naruto with a smile, to which Yoshino just looked at him in wonder. She never had any troubles with Uzumaki Naruto, but the Nara family was always neutral as to whom resides within the boy's stomach. Yoshino wasn't a rude person as sometimes people believed her to be, so she invited him inside the house and told him about the fact that Shikamaru was still sleeping, but should be up at any minute. Naruto appreciated and got inside, before seeing Yoshino walking towards the stairs and going upstairs. After the woman disappeared at the second floor, Naruto found himself looking around for some photographs and the house's furniture. He looked at some photos of Shikamaru's family as well as photos with the two different ones, apparently Kuji and Ino's family as well. Naruto remembered about the Ino Shikacho team and now knew how much close they were to each other. Konoha became famous for fighting as a team rather than individuals, even if the village did create its legends. Thought Naruto as he placed the picture back to the furniture and began walking around until he met another picture that he presumed was taken after Shikamaru passed the Chunin exams, since he was wearing the Chunin vest. "I wonder what my life would be if my parents were still alive? How different would my life be if I have the love of a mother and father?" All these questions were in Naruto's mind constantly ever since he was told of his parents. He, often, wondered if his father would be proud of him as a ninja. He wondered if his mother would approve of his relationship with Hankaken. Turning to think about it, he wondered if he had a family, he wouldn't have dated his girlfriend. "Presumably, I wouldn't have suffered as much as I did while growing up and probably being chased by fangirls simply because I was the son of the Yondaime Hokage. I would be like Sasuke. No need to think about what never happened," thought Naruto as he placed another picture he saw on the table. As he was looking around, he didn't sense someone appearing behind him. "Ah, Namikaze-san, it's good to see you," said Shikaku, earning a look in surprise from the blonde, who until now, was never called by his father's name before. Upon turning, he turned to look that the man was similar to Shikamaru, thus it couldn't be other than his father Shikaku. "Greetings Narasama, I'm sorry but what did you call me?" asked Naruto, also surprised that the man knew who his father was and, of course, didn't tell him. "Don't worry about me knowing who your father was, Naruto. Only the clan heads of Konoha know that you're the son of the Yondaime. I'm just ashamed to say that, although we of the Nara family didn't do anything to cause you harm, we also were neutral to the whole thing," said the man, looking down in shame from seeing the second generation of his long-term friend, the Yondaime. Naruto for his part wondered if this apology was because of who was his father or the man was really sorry for not lifting a finger to stop the hatred that others felt for him. Nevertheless, Nara Shikaku was the first among the ninja and the citizens, who came along with this, so Naruto would take that into consideration. After all, one couldn't grow up like he did and not learn how to forgive others when they come and ask for Naruto's forgiveness. It was, after all, an act towards the future and Naruto liked that. "No need to apologize Narasama, in the end it all worked out. I managed to reach the rank of Chunin, even though I had to move a lot of obstacles out of the way. I managed to find myself a lovely, yet sadistic, girlfriend and life, now, is good for me. I, oftentimes, wondered how my life would turn up if my parents were still alive, but then I guess the sensation of overcoming obstacles wouldn't be the same as it is right now," stated Naruto, earning a smile from the Nara elder, who was seeing Minato in Naruto right now. "You know Naruto, in the beginning, the only resemblance you ever hold from the Yondaime was the looks, but now I can see that his wisdom rubbed it off on you. You have a great future ahead of yourself and I can see you'll, in time, surpass your old man, at least is what I believe now," said Shikaku, earning a nod from Naruto, who in turn appreciated the gesture and asked about a couple of things that he really hoped to learn about his father. "Narasama, I was hoping to ask a few things about my father if I may?" began Naruto, only waiting for the man's authorization before he continued. "In all the books I've read of the Yondaime, he was really famous around the elemental nations from his techniques called Rasengan and Hiraishin. However, there is nothing written that said about his other abilities. I was wondering if you've already fought alongside him when he was still due to create these two techniques," asked Naruto, earning a nod from Shikaku, who turned to think for a while, before asking for the blonde to follow him as he went through the house corridors for a while. The two only stopped upon arriving at one of the house's living rooms that happened to lead to a huge garden outside. "Your father was a master at the art of Fuin Jutsu, sealing art, and Hiraishin was created with this art. No one knew how he did it, but by using seals, he was able to travel at long distances in a flash. hence why he got the name Yellow Flash. Apart from Fuuinjutsu, his other abilities were top-notch as well from what I can remember. Taijutsu, Genjutsu, Ninjutsu, all of them were performed admirably by your father. Although, his Genjutsu abilities were more in terms of breaking high-level ones than using them. The illusion art simply didn't fit his fighting style, but it didn't mean he could be fooled by one either. This photo right here was taken a long time ago when Minato and I, along with 2 other Jounins, accomplished our first S-ranked mission, said Shikaku as he showed Naruto a picture that showed his father and Shikaku smiling to the camera. Naruto laughed as he saw that their ninja clothing were all messed up, probably for returning from an S-ranked mission, and wondered if he and Shikamaru would repeat a picture like that. My father was really something, wasn't he? I guess I messed up his image a bit, didn't I? It took longer for me than others to improve, while my father was considered a genius. I guess I can't live up to his legend, said Naruto, though Shikaku couldn't denote any sadness in his voice. However, what Naruto was feeling right now is what every son feels upon trying to live up to the father's career. Naruto, I'm not your father nor I have a function of guidance towards your future, but I can say for certain that you shouldn't live up to your father's legend, said Shikaku as he looked to the clouds in hopes that Minato was listening to the conversation. Naruto, for his part, looked at the man in wonder for what he did and asked him why. The circumstances in which me and your father lived is different than your and Shika's circumstances. Also, the Third Shinobi War was happening in its full force at the time, hence how both your father and Hatake Kakashi became famous throughout the elemental nations. You need to create your own legacy. Clearly, you don't want to be called Second Flash, do you? From what I heard, you already managed some incredible feats and you're only a chunin yet, explained Shikaku, before seeing the blonde looking up the clouds, also wondering if his father would be saying the same words. Suddenly, though, Shikamaru appeared right behind him, scratching his eyes, showing both Naruto and Shikaku how much the man wanted to sleep a little bit more. Good morning, Sleeping Beauty. The Hokage is waiting for us right now, we have to go, said Naruto, before hearing Shikamaru mumbling something that resembled troublesome blondes, and went to his room, in order to get dressed. Shikaku, though, began laughing out loud and was holding his stomach from sudden lack of air. When Naruto asked about it, Shikaku just apologized and said that Minato once said similar things to him in the past. 10 minutes later, Naruto was walking towards the Hokage's office next to a mumbling Shikamaru who was cursing both his mother for waking him up and the blonde next to him for inducing his mother to waking him earlier than expected. Quit bitching about it, Shikamaru. You slept for 10 hours and you wish to sleep more, said Naruto, not quite believing that the Nara heir would be so lazy as to sleep as much as he did. Shikamaru, for his part, glared daggers at the blonde, but waved it off since it would be too troublesome to argue about this, so he changed subjects. So, how was your Jounin exam, Naruto? I heard and felt some of it, but I didn't get to see the result, asked Shikamaru before seeing Naruto smile and explain that he passed 2 of 3 phases without much trouble, but the second one was trouble. Although I'm not sure the Hokage would pass me to Jounin. I don't have as much missions as you did and I've only been a chunin for a year, while you're already 4 years at the rank. Clearly, you deserve more than me, explained Naruto. Huh, I wouldn't say that. Sure, you're less time as chunin than all of us are, but your skills make up for it. I bet those tremors I felt the day of the exams were caused by you, right? So, you certainly have the skills to be promoted, said Shikamaru, earning a nod from Naruto, before he changed subjects and said about how much he enjoyed having a conversation with his father, to which Shikamaru smiled and said that he doesn't find his father's talks troublesome, which was a good thing. Seriously, Shikamaru, I'll bet troublesome was your first word as a baby, said Naruto before hearing Shikamaru mumbling yet again about troublesome blondes. At the Hokage's office inside the office, were both Naruto and Shikamaru's exam proctors telling to the Hokage about their reports on the Jounin hopefuls' abilities and test results. Shikamaru's test was the first and Kurenai explained about Shikamaru's test. Hokage-sama, I was the proctor of Shikamaru's test and I can attest that he passed with flying colors. As per your instructions, Shikamaru was subjected to high-level questions while I was placing images inside his mind, using B-ranked genjutsu. Not only he wasn't bothered by them, but he also managed a top score of 95% of the questions. He, surely, has the skills to become a Jounin. I believe that he, also, should begin elemental manipulation very soon since he already has one manipulation, but that will be in the future, explained Kurenai, earning a nod from the Hokage. Thank you, Kurenai. I already knew that Lazy Bum would pass the exams. He sure is lazy, but when he's tested, he could bring anyone around here to shame. Also, He already showed me the skills of a leader while in missions, and I'm certain that he is what it takes to be promoted. Now, on to Naruto. Yamato, why don't you begin by explaining what Naruto's test was, asked the Hokage, to which Yamato nodded and turned to the rest of the group. Right, as Hokage-sama here explained, I was the one of the proctors for Naruto's Jounin trials. The test was divided into 3 phases: Doden Ninjutsu, Fuuten Ninjutsu and Kenjutsu battle. The Doden Ninjutsu was proctored by me, the Fuuten was proctored by Anbu member codenamed Kaze, and the last phase was conducted by Anbu member Yugao. Each of us will report our evaluation regarding each phase, and seeing as Doden was the first, I'll begin, said Yamato, beginning the explanation. My test involved using both offensive and defensive Doden Ninjutsu, and I can say with most certainty that Naruto surprised my highest expectations regarding the element. I happen to know that he was taught really well by Oizun and Kakashi-senpai, since he was able to connect well-versed attacks and managed to create strong defenses up to the point of even using iron manipulation, hence why I believe he can now be considered a master at Doden manipulation at the very least. In the end, Naruto even forced me to abandon the Doden restriction and resort to Makuten techniques. Needless to say, he passed my test easily, reported Yamato, earning a nod from Tsunade, who thought of Aoi and how much he was able to teach Naruto in only a month. After Yamato spoke, Anbu member Kaze approached and begins explaining the second phase of Naruto's exam. Greetings Hokage-sama, I was the proctor for Naruto's Jounin trails and I tested him in Fuuten Ninjutsu. His first assignment was to use Fuuten Ninjutsu in order to slice projectiles in the air using purely ninjutsu. His average was above excellent, missing only 3 shurikens out of 20. The second phase, though, he didn't impress me at first. However, that was because it was visible that Naruto never encountered someone as proficient in Fuuten Ninjutsu as he was before. After he assembled my abilities, Naruto used a technique that could level an entire training field and sent me flying easily. Actually, if it hadn't been for Yamato's Makuten Ninjutsu grabbing me, I could have encountered a mountain and got seriously hurt. He passed my test, although both I and he knows that he needs to improve the area a bit, explained Kaze, earning a nod from Tsunade, who after looked at Yugao for her report on Naruto's Kenjutsu abilities. I'm the last one and third proctor of Naruto's test. I was his Kenjutsu opponent. His attacks are well positioned and don't leave easy openings for me to attack. The same can be said about his defensive abilities. It's very efficient and it took me quite a while to understand his style is almost impenetrable. To someone untrained in the arts of Kenjutsu, Naruto's movements are flawless, but for someone who's well versed at the art, I could see that Naruto has a 1/4 of a second flaw on his form. Just after he's positioned to defend a vertical attack, he takes 1/4 of a second to switch the defensive movement. Mind all of you that this isn't a weakness in any way, shape or form, since my ex-boyfriend Gekko Hayate had the same thing and was considered one of the best amongst us Kenjutsu users. I'll try correcting this with him as we spar from time to time. Now, as to his test, since he was able to take the first blood, he passed the test. Hence why I believe he has all the skills necessary for the Jounin position, reported Yamato, earning a nod and an overall smile from Tsunade. Naruto has the necessary skills, but he lacks the experience of undergoing a specific number of missions that Shikamaru already did. Nevertheless, while Shikamaru has everything that a Jounin leader needs, while Naruto has the skills of a Jounin warrior. Together, those two could work well while on a tough mission. If I were to place them together with one or more experienced Jounins, I'm sure there will be a recognized force, said Tsunade, more like thinking out loud, but all the people present were concurring with the Hokage's assessment. Well, that's settled. Although both have different abilities, both of them are qualified for the Jounin position. Also, they will be tested right away, as I'll place them together on an A-ranked mission near Lightning Country. It will require both their abilities and I'm sure they will succeed. All of you are dismissed, they'll be arriving here shortly, said Tsunade, before seeing all of them except for Shizune leaving the office via Sunshine. After all of them left, Shizune addressed Tsunade as to her certainty over Naruto's promotion, seeing that he didn't possess the necessary missions to qualify him for the Jounin position. Tsunade nodded to her assistant and told her that if Naruto didn't leave the village with Jiraiya, he would have done the same amount of missions, thus wouldn't be behind his peers. You have to remember, Shizune, that Naruto trained under S-ranked shinobi for a little more than 3 years. Not only that, but he also managed to increase his abilities in a flash on his own, which it's pretty amazing. The experience will be added with time, as I'm sure to position him under strategic positions in order for him to learn the many aspects of mission completion and managing to overcome the obstacles that happen to appear while on a mission, explained Tsunade, earning a nod from Shizune, who dismissed the issue, before asking which mission Naruto and Shikamaru would be performing and would there be another member with them. Tsunade, however, smiled and looked to her assistant, just waiting for her to remember the last mission request that arrived, before she saw Shizune's eyes grow in realization. Clearly you don't expect those two to be able to perform that mission, Tsunade-sama. They're fresh jounin, said Shizune, trying to dissuade the Hokage out of this, simply because of the fact that said mission was easily passed for an S-ranked missions if things get too complicated. The Hokage, though, wanted to test the two of them and her order would be passed through no matter what. Shizune, Shikamaru is one of my best strategists and Naruto's a goddamn powerhouse with enough chakra at his disposal to battle any enemy bordering A-ranked. Just in case, I'm setting Ino to go with him as well, so that they get a medical nin as assistance. Now, they will be here shortly, could you call Ino here for me, Shizune? Asked the Hokage, earning a nod from the woman, before walking towards the door and then, heading to the hospital. It didn't take long for both Naruto and Shikamaru to arrive at the Hokage's office and Tsunade began by giving them their proctor's evaluation on their exams. As she talked, both youngsters were surprised to hear that they managed to surprise their evaluators as much as the Hokage was telling them about it. Naruto, for sure, wondered if Kaze said some bad things about his Fuutan abilities, but according to Tsunade, the man said that the blonde was almost a master at the element, but just needed to improve a little bit. Shikamaru, for his part, already knew about his results, seeing that Kurenai happened to tell him after he finished the test. However, he wasn't entirely thrilled to become a jounin for the same reason he didn't want to raise to chunin at the time. The man was a lazy bum and of course, the less responsibility the better. But of course, things don't work like he expected and he already knew what the Hokage would say next. So based on your skills and experience, both of you are now jounins of Konoha, congratulations. I expect both of you to wear the stark green vest with pride and dignity. You, both, now are part of the Shinobi elite and as such, you'll be sent to much dangerous missions as well as missions that require a much reserved expertise. Now, you guys are in luck, since I already have a mission for both of you plus one to attend. We'll wait for her to arrive here before I can explain what the mission entails, stated Tsunade, earning a look in surprise from Naruto from the promotion and a sigh in dismay from Shikamaru whose thoughts became reality. Tsunade, of course, expected that reaction from Shikamaru and explained that given his mission history, it was only natural that he would become a jounin eventually. Naruto, I have to say I'm quite proud of promoting you to jounin so soon. Just like Yamato said, you surely impressed us all with your skills and I'm sure you'll grow even stronger than you are now, said Tsunade, earning a nod and a smile from Naruto, before someone knocked at the door and Ino entered. The response was immediate. Ino screamed towards Naruto for what he did so far to her and Shikamaru sighed in dismay once more. Well, hello there Inazen, long time no see. How have you been? Asked Naruto, acting all innocent, earning snarling from Ino who in turn, charged towards the blonde in speeds that astounded those present. However, when Ino grabbed Naruto's neck, she was completely caught by surprise when Naruto vanished in smoke and in his place an empty scroll appeared that was located next to Tsunade's office and in its place, Naruto appeared. Ino, there is no way to grade a friend, isn't it? Smiled Naruto. Meanwhile, Shikamaru was explaining what happened to the Hokage. After a while, Tsunade sighed in dismay and told Ino to calm down and for Naruto to say sorry for teasing her so. Naruto complied immediately, showing his hand in sorry, but Ino just rolled her eyes, thus leaving it that. Naruto, for his turn, didn't mind, since he was acting under orders, so he turned and shrugged his shoulders at the Hokage who sighed and addressed the new team. Okay, then, you three are about to be sent to an A-ranked mission towards Lightning Country, and I don't want to hear anyone complaining. 2 days ago, our client, a business merchant called Iwashi Kaido, received some threatening letters to his and his family's lives. According to the man, the letter was sent by Kumo Missingnins who wished to take over his land. Normally, the sheer fact that Missingnins are involved, this mission is already a B-ranked one, however there are rumors that one of the Missingnins is Kumo Zaikazuchi Kyui, Thunder Menace, so it will be a A-ranked mission, with the potential of becoming a S-ranked one, in case he is really behind this, threats, reported Tsunade, before Ino raised her hand and asked about this Thunder Menace, to which Shikamaru responded. Satoshi Hino, aka Kumo Zaikazuchi Kyui, Thunder Menace, was solely responsible for granting Kuma victory against the Mist some time ago. According to the bingo book, he was responsible for killing over 50 Shinobis, including one of the 7 swordsmen of the Mist, although which one, no one knows. He's a master at lightning affinity and uses it to its better capability. Tsunade-sama, if this man appears, there is no way we can deal with him, Hence why I believe a fourth and better experienced member must be appointed for this mission, just in case, advised Shikamaru, earning a nod from Tsunade, who congratulated the strategist on the wise insight. Normally, I would Shikamaru, however, since Hino has a lightning affinity, only one with Fuuten mastery can overcome this guy in battle, hence why I'm sending Naruto along with you, said Tsunade, earning the look and surprise from said blonde, before seeing Tsunade smile at him and then, turning to Ino for her role in the mission. Ino, you're going in order to supply medical treatment for both Shikamaru and Naruto, stated Tsunade, to which Ino nodded, before Shikamaru asked one more question. How many missing nins are we talking about here, Tsunade-sama? Asked Shikamaru, to which Tsunade responded. The client mentioned 4 to 5, including Kumo's Ikazuchi Kui, Thunder Menace, but they are composed of Chunins and Genins, so I'm sure you won't have problems with this mission. Naruto is well versed in fighting tough opponents, so he'll play a more active role in this mission, and you, Shikamaru, will be the mission leader. In this scroll, you'll find the client's letter and his specifications to where he is going to meet you three. Good luck to all three of you, dismissed, said Tsunade. With Anko, could you move your perverted ass faster? Damn it, shouted Anko. It's been a while since they left the hotel, but Jiraiya was making his best to piss Anko off by refusing to go faster than walking towards Konoha. Anko, I agreed to go back to Konoha with you, but I never agreed to get there as fast as possible. Don't worry, though, I believe Tsunade won't be sending Naruto to any, said Jiraiya, before he saw a bird approaching and landing on his shoulder, before giving him a little scroll. Upon hearing Anko asking what it was, Jiraiya's serious face suddenly worried him. Well, it says here that Naruto was recently promoted to Jounin and was sent on a mission towards Kumo. Huh? I guess Tsunade didn't waste time and sent the brat for a mission. Well, that proves that we don't need to rush, Anko, said Jiraiya, before beginning his walk towards the village with a smile on his face. Anko was worried for her boyfriend, but waved it off as the news of his promotion made her extremely happy. I can't believe he made it to Jounin, said Anko as she followed Jiraiya to the village. The pervert, for his time, nodded and said that Naruto is truly most surprising ninja in existence. After a while of walking, Anko asked Jiraiya about what he has planned for her cursed seal once they arrived in Konoha. Jiraiya began to think for a while and said that he would need to take some notes he made on the Uchiha's mark and begin from there. Your cursed seal, Anko, is less advanced than the Uchiha's, hence how you're able to control it better than Sasuke. Also, seeing that the Uchiha was recently captured by Naruto, I'd ask for permission from the Hokage to study his seal once more to see if I can make some breakthrough, said Jiraiya, earning a nod from Anko, whose curiosity was satisfied, at least for the moment. Inside a unknown cavern in an unknown location, one Snakeface was seen destroying his entire laboratory from anger. Minutes ago, his henchman Kabuto informed him of his failure at retrieving Uchiha Sasuke because one more Inoue and a couple of Anbus were guarding the boy, making it impossible for Kabuto to capture Sasuke. However, the word failure was non-existent to the Sannin, and he was now taking his anger on his failed experiments and voicing his need to destroy that pitiful village once and for all. Kabuto, prepare some of our group and go to Konoha once more to retrieve my vessel. I know for a fact that Tsunade wouldn't kill him, for he has the Sharingan, so he'll be sentenced to life imprisonment at the very least. Don't fail me once more, Kabuto. You know the consequences for failing me, threatened Orochimaru, earning a nod from Kabuto, who in turn got up and fixed his glasses a bit before leaving the room. I swear that once I have the Sharingan, Konoha will be my first target of destruction, laughed Orochimaru uncontrollably. With Shikamaru and Ko after getting each one's supplies, the team was now heading towards the rendezvous point with the client. As they jumped through the trees, Shikamaru was explaining to the group about their client and which type of products does the man operate. Okay, then, according to the mission scroll, our client is a sword dealer, and it's one of the few business dealers that happen to sell his products with Kumo. According to his letter, the missing nins not only want his land, but also his weapons. Iwashi Kaido's swords happens to be famous amongst Lightning Country, but he makes only lightweight swords like wakizashis and kodashis, so his main customer is, of course, a ninja village, aka Kumo. We will be traveling for a day and a half, before we reach the client's property. However, there is a possibility that the enemy already knows that the client contracted us for help, so they will be ready for us. That's where you come in, Naruto. Ino will be our Medicnin, so we'll protect her at all costs. Also, you will be on the battlefront and I'll be protecting the client and his family together with Ino. Any questions, stated Shikamaru, earning a nod in negative from both Ino and Naruto, before the group initiated their travel once more. Mitarashi Anko was walking casually towards returning to the village. She and Jiraiya were a few miles away from reaching the hidden village in the leaves, and she was already thinking of using her snakes to cause the pervert immeasurable pain and suffer. She wondered how the hell could her boyfriend stand this guy for 3 whole years and not lose his mind or even get to kill him. On more than one occasions, Jiraiya would ditch Anko for peeping on public bathhouses, doing his so-called research. Right now, she was waiting inside a dango restaurant, while hearing the pervert giggling like a schoolgirl while looking at what appeared to be 3 bitches, Anko's thinking, bathing inside a river nearby. She could also hear the laughing noise coming from the women, and Anko had to pity such innocence. Civilians and Shinobis were pretty much different species of human beings. One couldn't hope to match even one similar characteristic between the two of them, and even some faint sense of similarity is broken when push comes to shove. Anko, once, met a woman at one of Konoha's public bathhouses who happened to be a civilian. Needless to say, the conversation didn't exactly exist between the two of them. Anko's mind was driven towards the way of the ninja, while the woman was more interested in speaking about fashion and beauty products. While a girl, no matter if she's a kunoichi or not, always thinks of fashion, Anko wasn't that much interested in the subject. However, the thought of dressing up nicely for Naruto did occur inside her mind. Anko, often, would imagine teasing Naruto with her looks and get to see his face while drooling at her. Of course, the thought of seeing Naruto rip everything apart and just ravage her was way better, so in the end, thinking too much about fashion wasn't really worth it. Thinking of Naruto, Anko really wanted to surprise him when he returned from his mission towards Lightning Country. She still wondered if Naruto would be pissed at her for missing his Jounin trials, but then she remembered Jiraiya saying that Naruto wouldn't do something like this. The cursed seal was, indeed, Anko's worst nightmare, and she couldn't be truly happy with her life when she looks at the mirror every day and remember her old sensei sinking his teeth through her flesh. Just the bare thought of Orochimaru made her skin crawl in pure hatred and despair. She really wanted to apologize for the blonde, but deep inside her heart, she knew that as long as the cursed seal exists, she wouldn't be 100% free. Finishing the last dango stick, she looked up and saw that Jiraiya was walking towards her direction while massaging a big bump on his head. Serve the pervert right, she thought, presuming that one of the girls did that, after discovering that they were being pepped at. She couldn't help but laugh at the pervert's situation and wondered if Naruto got to see this situation often. Serves you right, pervert, said Anko, before getting up and continued to walk towards Konoha while hearing Jiraiya muttering about the fact that even without chakra, those girls could hit really hard, which, alone, earned a snicker from the woman. That strength is reserved for damn perverts like you, concluded Anko, earning a snort from the Sannin, who in turn called Anko hypocritical, because of her sexual adventures with a certain blonde, followed by yet another schoolgirl giggling. After hearing that, Anko looked at Jiraiya with looks that would scare even Snakeface. You know, this time, I won't beat you. However, that doesn't mean I won't deal with you accordingly, said Anko, before sending a couple of snakes to bite Jiraiya straight at the man's neck, before seeing the pervert dissolve into mud and appear next to her, displaying a not-so-thrilled look on his face. Anko wasn't fazed, though, and commented that he should see this coming after spying on her alone time with her boyfriend. Jiraiya snorted once more, but said no more. I guess I shouldn't dwell on it further, I've already enough material to make my new book anyway. He. A ninja prodigy who survived countless battles, before getting to meet a fierce and yet sadistic kunoichi. Together they find comfort through the other's arms. It's perfect. With Naruto oblivious to the fact that he was being used for Jiraiya's porn, Naruto was found jumping through the trees while following Shikamaru and Dino towards the client's property. Naruto wondered about the client being a renowned sword maker and wondered if perhaps he could acquire one for him. Naruto was thinking about his kenjutsu abilities and wondered if perhaps he could begin using 2 swords instead of only his katana. He heard stories of ninjas using 2 swords that complemented each other. However, for Naruto to be able to incorporate another sword to his fighting style, he would have to, maybe, purchase an Injato, which would be perfect for incorporating his fighting style. Of course, Iwashi Kaido was well known through the elemental nations for his swords, so if Naruto were to purchase one from him, would cause a huge gap on his savings, but the thought of updating his kenjutsu style overcame any thought of economy. Besides, now that he was promoted to Jounin, he will receive bigger paychecks, thus having enough income to buy one of the man's swords. Outside Naruto's mind, the group was now crossing the border between Fire and Lightning Country. The client's house was just a few miles away from the border, so it would take only be a couple minutes to arrive. Shikamaru was, perhaps, apprehensive because of the man his team would be facing. Satoshi Hino was responsible for a lot of deaths, and for someone such as him to become a missing meaning he isn't bound to the order of the cage. It would certainly be a troublesome situation to say the least. Looking back at the blonde, Shikamaru wondered if Naruto would be strong enough to deal with a man of Satoshi's caliber. Shikamaru remembered hearing from Asuma that Naruto was being trained by Iwa's Diamond Fang, who was rumored to rival the Yondaime in terms of skill. However, while being trained by him, Naruto didn't possess the same battle experience needed to beat Satoshi, and maybe the Nara heir considered aiding the blonde against the man. Well, only time will tell. We still need to verify how many missing nins are trying to attack the client, and Naruto might have to help me in dealing with the weaker ones first, before we can deal with Satoshi. The problem, now, will be protecting Ino from harm and also deal with the missing nins. Damn, Tsunade could at least place another Jounin with us. At some point, Naruto joined with Shikamaru before he saw the look of concern on his face. Upon asking, Naruto heard the man's thoughts about how tough it will be to complete this mission. Naruto couldn't help but agree, though, as fighting a legend is hard enough without having to worry about both protecting the client and protecting the mission's Medicnin. We'll need numbers for this mission and I can supply them for us, however I'm not sure if my clones will be enough to deal with the rest of the missing nins, stated Naruto, earning a nod from Shikamaru. According to the client, apart from Satoshi, the rest of them are either Jonin or Chunin level shinobi. Also, since the man is a well-known swords dealer, it's safe to assume he would know a thing or two about raiding his enemies. I'll have to leave Satoshi alone to you, until we can be certain that both the client and Ino are safe. After that, I'll join you and we can deal with Satoshi together, concluded Shikamaru, to which Naruto agreed to it. Truth be told, Naruto didn't think much of the man because he was still due to meeting the man. However, for a man to take on so much Kiri shinobi and be victorious, that was saying much. A while later the gang arrived at the property before making themselves known to the house's servants. In moments, they stood before Iwashi Kaido, before bowing in respect. The man's presence, alone, demanded respect. He was tall and definitely muscular. Everyone could see that the man trained himself through exhaustion to acquire those muscles. So, I can see Tsunade send me some fine shinobi to aid me in defending my land, said the man, as he eyed each one of the shinobi in front of him. Shikamaru, however, looked at him in question. Forgive us, Katozen, but I believe our mission was to protect you, not aid you in battle, asked Shikamaru, before hearing the man laughing quite a lot. No, my friend, I'm afraid that old hag of yours misinterpreted my request. I'd kill myself if I hired ninjas to do the fighting while I just sit and watch. Normally, I would be able to do this on my own, had that fool Satoshi not dragged a little army with him. That imbecile lost a battle against me, so he arranged for some goons in order to take my swords. Don't worry, though, I can see you three are very skilled in your respective fields, but seeing as I'll be fighting as well, I need to know of your abilities. Seeing as you're the leader, you can begin by explaining both your and your team's abilities, asked Kaido, earning a frown in dismay from Shikamaru, but then again, seeing that they not only don't need to protect the client, but also receive a new aid in battle, he was relieved. Little did he know, though, that it wouldn't be so easy. Well, starting with me, Shikamaru, I descend from the Nara clan, thus being master of shadow manipulation. Furthermore, my skills lay in leadership and strategy. Moving on, our teams. Medicnin Ino Yamanaka, not only master of her family's mind jutsus, but also one of Konoha's top kunoikis in the field of medicine, being apprenticed to the Hokage herself. Last but not least, our team's warrior Uzumaki Naruto, apprenticed by copycat ninja Kakashi and Iwa's Diamond Fang. Naruto here possess many abilities such as Kenjutsu and Elemental Ninjutsu, reported Shikamaru, earning a whistle in respect from Kaido. Both names Kakashi and Aoi are famous throughout the elemental nations, and if the blonde managed to acquire both their abilities, then this Naruto would be of good aid to him. Tell me something, boy. I happen to know of Iwa's Diamond Fang and I respect his abilities a lot. I want to see with my eyes if you really received his tutelage. Also, if what your leader said of your abilities are true, then you'll join me in the front lines, challenged Kaido, before seeing a smile on Naruto's face, earning a smile on his face in return. Kaido is a famous samurai, and as such, once meeting a worthy opponent, one couldn't help but want to test his abilities. Naruto, for his part, was drooling. He would have the chance of testing his Kenjutsu abilities, this man in front of him, and couldn't wait to see how he would fare against him. How do you want to test me, Katozen? Asked Naruto, earning a nod in response before seeing the man asking for Naruto to follow. After a while of walking, the group entered in what appeared to be a dojo. Saito walked towards the Black Buddha statue in the middle of the dojo before picking up his katana. The weapon, itself, was exquisite. The hilt was large enough for the man's hands to hold it and the scabbard was well designed. It composed of wood craftsmanship while engraved with a dragon whose tails began close to the hilt and ended all the way up the scabbard. When Kaido took the sword off, Naruto could see the amount of dedication that Kaido placed on his swords. The blade was clean and because of the sunlight entering through the dojo's window, the metal was reflecting it like a mirror. Since I'm a samurai, I wouldn't be able to know much about your so-called ninjutsu, however when it comes to fighting with a katana, us samurai have a much better understanding of the art than you ninjas do. I want to see your abilities, son, said Kaido, before seeing Naruto nod and walk for a while before poisoning himself in front of Kaido. Naruto took his sword off the scabbard and positioned the sword by holding it with his two hands up his right shoulder, just next to his face. Kaido smiled in response of seeing this style after so long. The man just positioned his sword forward in standard samurai position and turned to observe Naruto's stance for a while. One of his tests was to see how far Naruto's resolve is as well as his patience. For a moment there, nobody moved as both Kaido and Naruto just remained in their respective positions, content to just observe the opponent. However, for those unfamiliar with the way of sword fighting, both Ino and Shikamaru were uneasy with the situation. Samurais were a strange concept to shinobis, but they understood Kaido's reasons. However, both Ino and Shikamaru's focus were directed at Naruto. Naruto was well known as a chakra powerhouse and a warrior throughout Konoha, and seeing him just doing nothing for several minutes was really unnerving. Kaido, for his part, smiled at his opponent. For a ninja, Naruto actually knew how to fight as a samurai, and Kaido wondered if Aoi taught him how to fight. Now, normally, Kaido wouldn't attack first, since his style relied heavily on swift counterattacks with his katana. However, seeing that this was a test of another swordsman's skills, he decided to attack first. Naruto, for his part, was already at the state where he could pretty much hear the sound of a muscle being bent, which in turn allowed him to react to the attack accordingly. When he heard Kaido's leg muscles begin to stiffen, he knew that the opponent would attack by using his strong muscles for propulsion, so the blonde was prepared. True to the blonde's wanderings, Kaido used his legs to impulse his movement while positioning both his arms up for a vertical attack. Seeing the movement, Naruto focused some chakra to his arms and positioned his sword horizontally in order to defend the attack. When the swords collided, Naruto used the momentum to spin his body and attack Kaido with a quick slash from his sword, aiming the opponent's left shoulder, before seeing Kaido roll over on the ground, thus evading the attack. Kaido, then, took the offensive and positioned himself for a straightforward attack, before being blocked by Naruto's swift movement. Naruto didn't wait too long and charged against Kaido, but this time with a down-up attack from Kaido's right side. However, Kaido positioned his sword in order to reach Naruto's sword before the movement was complete, thus hindering the attack completely and exposing Naruto's left side completely. Holding his sword with one arm, Kaido used the other in order to punch Naruto's face, but to no avail, since the blonde ducked and aimed a low kick at the man's legs. Recovering his blade, Kaido jumped a little bit in order to avoid Naruto's kick, before rolling forward, positioning on Naruto's back, before moving in for the killer blow that would strike Naruto's neck. However, just as he stopped the sword near Naruto's neck, the blonde managed to position his inches from Kaido's heart, thus revealing the match outcome, a stalemate. Kaido was already impressed with the boy's skills before the outcome of the match, but thought that he was still beneath his abilities when he moved to deliver the killing blow. However, when he saw Naruto's sword positioned near his heart, he began to look at the blonde with different eyes. Ino and Shikamaru were easily astonished by the level of fighting, as their eyes couldn't quite follow the fight. However, it was not because of lack of skills, but rather looking at the fight at the wrong way. Both of them were looking at the weapons, instead of looking at the adversaries, hence why they couldn't keep up. They were still due to learn that the weapon is nothing but an extension of the fighter. Back to Naruto and Kaido, their swords were already back to the scabbard and both were now talking amongst each other. I see Aoi taught you well, Naruto. I couldn't see any flaws in your style and the strength that came with the blows were good enough. However, I know you used chakra to overcome my muscles, since without it, you'd be beaten fairly easy, said Kaido as he smiled at Naruto. Not to mention that the sword wouldn't be able to handle the strain alone, thus shattering in pieces, concluded Naruto, earning a nod from Kaido. Naruto, then, recollected his thoughts about the man's swords and discussed about acquiring a ninjato in order to complement his fighting style, to which Kaido nodded and thought about it. Yes, although not quite popular, using two swords could actually swing to your advantage. You have fast movements and I could feel the power behind the swings. However, as I'm sure you already know, a second katana wouldn't be advisable in this situation. A ninjato, though, would be perfect for you. Actually, Ninjatos happen to be my masterpiece and I happen to know that my ninjatos are being used by Kumo Zanbu Shinobi, explained Kaido, earning a nod from Naruto, who in turn asked about the price of such a weapon. Unfortunately, the last ones I made were recently sold to Suna, but fear not my blonde friend, since I happen to be placing a lot of my work towards a special one, these days. Once it's done, I'll be happy to supply them for you, seeing as you carry within you the skills of Iwa's Diamond Fang. Aid me in this battle, Naruto, and I'll happily give it to you, offered Kaido, earning a look in wonder from Naruto, before the man explained that money wasn't an issue, since he received quite a lot of orders and that worthy Kenjutsu fighters were hard to come by these days. After turning around to see Shikamaru, Kaido told them to rest because of the trip, in order to be fully rested for tomorrow. The group appreciated the offer of hospitality, and Ino and Shika moved to pick a room and rest for the day. Naruto, though, simply walked casually towards a lagoon located at the house's main garden and then kneeled next to a little fountain, while closing his eyes and hearing the sound of the water. Kaido thought about asking him if he was tired, but thought against it. The blonde caught his interest enough, so he went to his office and continued to make Naruto's ninjato. The next day, after everyone woke up and had their respective breakfast, the group proceeded to devise a suitable strategy against the enemy, and that's when Shikamaru come in. The narrator wrote a list of items to take into consideration, kind of like Naruto and Kaido's moving on to the front lines and engage the enemies while Shikamaru would stand behind for assistance purposes. Also, since Ino was the group's Medicnan, she had to be protected as well, so Shikamaru would both be as backup for Naruto and Kaido as well as a protection for Ino. Kaido explained about the group's objective, which in turn was to take possession of his weapon storage. Shikamaru nodded and explained about his plan on how the group would be able to guard the house, and Naruto will be the one responsible for this area. According to Shikamaru, since Naruto possessed more chakra than a number of Jounins put together, he would summon 10 cage bunshines and set them around the premises, earning a nod from the blonde and a smile from Kaido, thinking about this other boy Tsunade sent to aid him. Naruto and I should be able to deal with the opposition easily. I will fight against the strongest of them, Satoshi, while you will take on the rest of his goons. Don't worry, though, I've already fought them and I assure you that with your Kenjutsu skills alone, you won't have a problem, explained Kaido, before seeing that exciting smile he also longed for. Naruto, for his part, wasn't thinking of using Kenjutsu, since he would have to minimize the number of opponents before using his sword, and if what Saito said was true, then Naruto would have to face quite a lot of missing nins. Not that he minded, though, as compared to his sensei, it's like comparing ants to lions. Kaido exchanged looks with the blonde for a while, before grinning in response to his answer. I'm happy to tell you, kid, that your ninjato will be ready faster than I anticipated. Somehow, I got this urge to see you spread your fame throughout the elemental nations by using my sword, and I know you won't let me down, stated Kaido, earning a nod in appreciation from the blonde. After wrapping everything, Shikamaru stated that they would wait for the enemy to appear, to which the group nodded and moved outside to place themselves outside Kaido's residence. Inside Tsunade's office in front of Tsunade, were Anko and Jiraiya as they explained to her their intention to analyze Sasuke's cursed seal as a way of learning how to counter it, earning a thinking pose from the Hokage. She considered arresting Sasuke in the Onbu special prison, but she feared the council's wrath if she did so. The sentence alone was hard to come by, and Tsunade had to break the table in anger from saying that only the Hokage has the authority in matters regarding Shinobi, stating, as well, that Sasuke was to be treated juti like any other missing nin who betrayed the village and even had the nerve of joining Konoha's worst enemy. Homura and Koharu were persistent with their policies regarding the last Uchiha, but none of them wanted to be hit by Tsunade's godlike strength, so they accepted Sasuke's punishment. Jiraiya, I'll grant you a week to study the Uchiha in ways you see fit. Anko, however, won't be joining you as I have need for her elsewhere. Anko, it appears that we have a case of extreme poisoning at the hospital and we're in need of your expertise in the subject. Go there and call for Shizune, she'll supply you with information, ordered Tsunade, earning a nod from Anko, before she proceeded to leave. However, she stopped dead in her tracks and turned to ask about Naruto and if he was mad at her for not being here for his Jounin trials. Tsunade smiled and assured her that Naruto wouldn't do such a thing, as well as explaining his report to the woman and the pervert. Anko was relieved and appreciated the report, before opening the door and headed towards the hospital. Meanwhile, Tsunade and Jiraiya were inside her office waiting for Anko to leave before discuss the real issue regarding his withdrawal. Okay, pervert, what did you discover about Akatsuki's leader Pain? Asked Tsunade, earning a serious nod followed by a dejected one as the Sannin looked down to the ground in shame. Tsunade looked at her longtime companion and wondered what could have happened to send his usually broad smile into a serious reaction. First of all, I captured one Reinin and interrogated him for information regarding their leader. Turns out that, yes, Hanzu was beaten by their leader who was now in charge of a Mei village. I also managed to locate the man's base of operations before using the toads for information gathering. When I saw the man's identity, regret was the first word that came to mind. "Do you remember what happened after our defeat by Hanzu the Salamander, right?" asked Jiraiya, earning a nod from Tsunade. "You stayed there training what appeared to be 3 orphans to better defend themselves, but what does this have to do with Akatsuki's leader?" asked Tsunade, before waiting for the answer she knew was coming. One of these children possessed the Rinnegan back then and the leader's eyes were the same as Nagato. Although instead of Nagato's appearance, the Rinnegan eyes were being used by the other child Yahiko. Explained Jiraiya. Tsunade, now, fully understood the reason behind Jiraiya's unhappy mood, since it was him who took those kids for a year and a half to train them for their protection and now those children were the ones responsible for capturing the Baijuas, as well as harming Naruto. "So, what else did you discover about him?" asked Tsunade, trying to change the focus. Looking up, Jiraiya nodded and grabbed his notebook. Apart from pain, also the girl named Konan is one of their members. She possesses a bloodline that enables her in manipulating paper. Also, the last one to fill the 9 members of Akatsuki is S-ranked Kuza missing and called Zetsu. The guy is an information specialist and a spy. Rumors said that his plant-like body allows him to travel beneath the ground and through the trees, although his fighting skills remained unknown, explained Jiraiya, before Tsunade nodded and asked him to send this information to all the great hidden villages. "Give me some credit, Tsunade." "The information was already sent to the respective Kages as we speak," stated Jiraiya while gathering up some air and smiling with pride of his abilities, earning a sigh in dismay from Tsunade. After a while of conversing about Akatsuki, Jiraiya changed subjects and asked about Naruto's Jounin trials, before seeing Tsunade smiling at him. "It's easier to just say this. He is just another human being entirely. On his Doden ninjutsu test, he managed to beat Yamato by using some technique that Aoi taught him, the Fuuten test. Naruto literally sent his opponent, which by the way was also an Anbu, flying, and in the Kenjutsu test, he was able to draw the first blood on our best sword user. Tell me when you'd expect the old Naruto to become what he is today?" asked Tsunade while grinning at her old teammate. Jiraiya, for his part, smiled as well upon hearing Naruto's abilities and how much his abilities excelled under Iwa's Diamond Fang and Kakashi's teachings. However, Jiraiya was not one to wallow because of what happened in the past and moved on, considering that Naruto was alright, even if he didn't contribute at all to the blonde's growth. With Naruto, a couple of hours passed and so far no sign of the enemy. Although no one knew exactly when they would show up, the team did expect the enemy to arrive earlier. Ino, as usual, was already bitching her discomfort to Shikamaru, who in turn, muttered troublesome and turned to Naruto and Kaido, who were solely focused on looking forward in full concentration in case of a sudden arrival. Satoshi is an asshole, but he is a ninja, so it would be safe to assume he wouldn't take advantage of the environment, rather than fighting me head-on. I guess all we can do now is wait for them to arrive for about half an hour and then return to the house. After all, it's not us they want, but rather my weapons, stated Kaido, earning a nod from the team strategist Shikamaru. Naruto, however, was focused purely on looking forward. Without consent of the team leader, he sent 2 clones up ahead to scout the area in order to see where the enemy would appear. It was when Kaido voiced his thoughts that the sudden memory of the shadow clone dispelled returned back to the real one. "Shikamaru, they are coming," warned Naruto, earning looks in wonder from Shikamaru and Kaido, who in turn wondered how the blonde knew about this. When Shikamaru asked, though, Naruto explained that his Kage Bunshine scouted the area and dispelled in order to transfer the information to him, earning a nod from Shikamaru, who dismissed the lack of said order, not only because of being irrelevant, but really troublesome as well. "Okay, then, we'll stick with the plan for now." "Naruto, how many are them?" asked Shikamaru, to which Naruto responded the number 10, counting with a much stronger foe that resembled Satoshi's description. It wasn't long until the group saw the enemies marching calmly towards the house's direction, before stopping dead cold by Satoshi's orders. The man's appearance wasn't as impressive as Kaido was, but the ninja team knew that appearances are misleading, especially when it came to Shinobi. They could see a large sword strapped on the man's back and figured that he would have a Kenjutsu fight against Kaido. Satoshi for his part eyed the opposition and smiled before looking at Kaido. "It seems you called for reinforcements as well, Kaido. I'm impressed. I didn't think your ego allowed you to call for help," said Satoshi, before seeing Kaido laughing at the man's futile attempts of taunting him. "Humph, I don't need help dealing with you, Satoshi, but seeing as you brought friends with you as well, it does grant me right to do the same thing. After all, it's only logical that you're scared to face me head-on, that you had to run for help," said Kaido. The Konoha team, while hearing the jabbing comments between each other, began to analyze the remnant opposition. Naruto could very well rank them as chunins at best, however they outnumbered him, so he considered not underestimating this fact. He knew he wouldn't be counting with Shikamaru on this one, simply because the man's part of the plan was mainly for backup and house protection. He didn't expect, though, for Satoshi to settle his gaze at him as he spoke. "Ah, Kaido, I see you managed to gather yet another Kenjutsu specialist to aid you, and here I thought you'd get to fight me," said Satoshi, as he eyed Naruto's sword, before looking at Kaido, who in turn, looked at Naruto for a while, before nodding back to his enemy. "Although he is quite good, this fight is between you and me. He will deal with your little friends in the meantime, though, if you don't mind," said Kaido, as he pulled out his katana and positioned himself in order to attack. Satoshi snorted at the man from thinking one could do much against 9 chunins and also picked his sword, before falling into a battle position. Kaido and Satoshi were eyeing each other while Kaido opened his mouth to whisper to Naruto. "Naruto, get ready, because as soon as I attack him, you'll use your jutsu on his goons and keep them away from me," said Kaido, earning a nod from Naruto, who in turn, looked at the Kumo missing nins with a smirk. When Naruto heard Kaido flex his muscles, Naruto began the hand seals in astonishing speeds, before whispering the name of the technique Fuuten Date Appa, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough Jutsu, just as Kaido used his muscles to propel him forward the surprised enemy. The other chunins saw only the hand seals before a massive gust of wind sent them all flying. Immediately, flipping the hand seal, Naruto molded the chakra differently in order to use the Fuuten Kaze no Yaiba, Wind Release, Wind Sword Jutsu, multiple times. Some of the chunins were hit dead-on and were sent to the ground with a big chunk of flesh missing from the chest area, thus bleeding profusely. Only 5 of the chunins were experienced enough to recognize Naruto's technique and spin their bodies in order to dodge the slicing air technique. The ones that survived landed on the ground, eyed Naruto carefully. They were 9 just a few seconds ago, and now the blonde already managed to incapacitate 4 of them. Satoshi was battling against Kaido in straight Kenjutsu, while he saw the blonde's proficient skills in Fuuten Ninjutsu, which meant that his team would clearly have difficulties dealing with him. No matter, though, even though he managed to kill off 4 of them, 5 is still a large number against 1. "Come on, Kaido, you have to do better than that if you want to take care of me," said Satoshi as he defended from a high-up attack from Kaido. Back to Naruto, he reverts to just eyeing the rest of his opponents. The first 4 was taken easily because they didn't know his abilities. Now, they would bring the big guns against Naruto. The blonde's wonderings were proved right, as instantly all 5 of them began running around him while making hand seals at the same time, before screaming in unison, "Raiten Beizu Rakurai, Lightning Release, Multiple Thunderbolt Jutsu." Because of the spinning move, the thunderbolts linked with each other, forming a unique attack in 5 directions, thus surrounding Naruto. Shikamaru screamed for Naruto to get out of there as well as Ino, before the attack hit dead-on, nearly making Shikamaru's eyes widen in recognition of Naruto's loss as well as the group's power. However, when the smoke cleared, Shikamaru lifted his head only to see that Naruto was standing there focusing on the ram seal, unscathed. Upon looking at further, Shikamaru realized the blonde was surrounded by what appeared to be wind surrounding him. "A little more faith in me, Shikamaru. You didn't think I would focus only on offensive techniques, now wouldn't you?" asked Naruto, before turning to where the Nara-era was looking at him, before seeing Shikamaru sigh in extreme relief and smile at him, to which Naruto returned. After dispelling the wind dome technique around him, Naruto made more hand signs, this time for an earth jutsu, before slapping his hands on the ground for Dodenkyu Mujishin, Earth Release, Fierce Hurricane Jutsu. Suddenly, the ground began to shake considerably, thus obliging everyone to focus chakra onto their feet so as to avoid losing their footing. However, there were the ones who were surprised by seeing the blonde using Doden to realize what they needed to do. Naruto smiled, and taking off his sword, he used his wind dash technique in order to propel himself towards the 2 surprised chunins, before finishing their lives with a quick and killer attack taught by Aoi straight through their hearts. Turning around, Naruto was surprised when he saw 3 swords almost chopping his head off, before he rolled on the ground and established a distance between them. With a sword on his hands, Naruto couldn't do hand signs, so that meant jutsus were out of the picture. Now, he would get to fight against 3 chunins in close combat. The chunins didn't wait for him to reflect on a strategy and attacked him once more. Focusing on their movements, Naruto positioned his sword in front of his face, waiting for the first blow, which came from his left to which he defended, before using Futon Chakra to propel a spin, thus avoiding an vertical attack the second was doing, before attempting to attack the same one. The third, though, defended his comrade by placing his sword in front of Naruto's. The blonde didn't have much to think about as the first one's sword was beginning to reach closer, making him no room but to dodge, evade and block. The blonde had to consider their level of teamwork as the battle progressed. While one attacked, the other would defend while the third remained as a backup, and so on. When Naruto dodged the first one, he would attack the second only for the third to come and stop him from doing so. He needed an edge against the three of them, and he needed right now. However, he couldn't think of any as the Chunins didn't give him much time to think. Suddenly, though, he saw their movement halted and smirked when he looked down to see a shadow was looming over the Chunin's shadow, thus stopping them. I appreciate the help, Shikamaru. Focusing on these three at the same time is tough as hell. My eyes were already hurting from it. I can't hope to fight three swords with only one, what that's it. Thought Naruto as he grabbed a kunai from his holster and positioned his new weapon in ways of completing with his sword. Kaido saw this and smiled at the boy from figuring it out. Satoshi, however, wasn't too thrilled as, indeed, his team were having trouble with the blonde. Back to Naruto, he focused Futon Chakra on the kunai and appreciated Shikamaru for the help, before requesting for the shadow technique to be dispelled. Shikamaru, of course, objected but acknowledged in the end. Once the Chunins were released, they saw Naruto and charged against him once again with the same battle strategy. However, because of Naruto's kunai, he was having more ways of attacking and more ways of defending, which meant that he would find an opening real soon. Naruto, for his part, remembered fighting against Gamabukki and his swords and tried to match the attack patterns. It did work, after all, as the first and second Chunins were, occasionally, suffering from scratches made by his sword. This time, Naruto would use his Futon-powered kunai to block the first's attack, before using the sword at the second, expecting for the third to block so that he could attack the first one unguarded. As he thought, Naruto waved his Futon kunai near the first's chest, thus taking out a big chunk of flesh from him. The rest of the two stopped the attack and jumped back before guarding their swords once again. Immediately, both of them began to mold an immense amount of chakra, before whispering in unison Raiden Saikiho, lightning release, static cannon jutsu. Immediately, both the Chunins started gathering static energy around their hands, before shooting compressed spheres composed of said energy straight at Naruto. The blonde saw the attacks, though, but couldn't use the wind dome defense fast enough. Focusing some chakra to his feet, Naruto evaded the elemental assault, before landing on the ground and using the wind dash technique as he charged against the Chunin ninjas while dodging the spheres. He didn't think too much about the well-coordinated ninjutsu these Chunins were doing and continued dodging the incoming projectiles. There were only two left for him to take care of the enemy. He could approach them further and eliminate them with pure kenjutsu, but he didn't want them to try another ninjutsu combination, so he would resort to ninjutsu as well. The problem was that while the sword and kunai were on his hands, no hand seals could be done, so Naruto couldn't do any jutsus. He remembered, however, when he was fighting Gamabukki and the jutsu he used when he crossed the swords and expelled Futon Chakra through the blade, thus forming an X pattern. After dodging the last spheres, Naruto crossed his katana and kunai and began focusing on Futon Chakra through the weapons. In seconds, both weapons were surrounded with a blue-colored energy. Now the problem was on how to expel the thin layered chakra towards the enemy. While thinking of the solution, the enemy was, in the meantime, attacking him with the static spheres, although to no avail as Naruto kept dodging them. Suddenly, Naruto tried to apply the concept of the Kaze no Yaiba technique and tried applying to the weapons in front of him. What happened next really did surprise him as two thin-layered wind chakra attacked left the weapons and charged the Chunin, before hitting them right on the chest. Well, I guess I did it, thought Naruto as he saw the bodies of the missing nins fall on the ground unconscious. After seeing the rest of the two unconscious, Naruto stopped for a while to gather his breath a little bit. For all the stamina and chakra he had, extreme focus took out a lot out of him. Although Naruto did dodge the attacks, his outfit suffered worse fate as only his vest was intact while the rest of it was ragged and pretty much destroyed. Upon turning to his teammates, he gave thumbs up to Shikamaru who nodded with a smile before seeing that Hino was watching him with a bit of drooling. The Yamanaka heir never saw Naruto's muscles like that before and she couldn't help but stare with second thoughts on her head. Back to Naruto, he sighed in dismay upon believing that Hino wasn't looking at him, but rather sizing him up from head to toe. Turning to see the other fight, he found it surprising that Kaido was winning the battle against Satoshi. When it came to Kenjutsu, Kaido was unbeatable. However, just as Satoshi fell on the floor, he began making hand seals fast, telling Naruto that the man would resort to ninjutsu to beat a samurai. He had to do something to save Kaido. To Kaido's part, his battle with Satoshi, although fierce, it didn't have the same fire as the one had against Naruto, so the enemy was easy to beat. However, as he saw Satoshi smile and begin making those famous hand signals, the man stiffened instantly in fear of suffering an coward, but deadly attack from Satoshi, before hearing the man screaming Rasengan, lightning release, false darkness jutsu. Kaido braced himself for the incoming pain as he closed his eyes to brace the electricity. However, instead of bearing the pain, all Kaido could feel was strange lack of air to breathe. When he opened his eyes, he saw Satoshi snarling at the blonde next to him who was holding one of the hand signals while sighing in relief from not being too late to protect the client. Kaido appreciated the help and, after the wind dome was expelled, gave Satoshi the killing blow to his neck. After cleaning the blood left on his sword, Kaido went towards Naruto's location and offered a hand to the blonde. "They got you pretty bad, huh?" Naruto said Kaido as he helped Naruto to get up from the ground, before escorting the blonde back to the house for some rest. The next day when Naruto opened his eyes, he knew he wasn't outside the house as he saw the house's ceiling. Immediately he got up only to hear Shikamaru's voice calling up to him. "About time you woke up, Naruto. I was beginning to think you'd never wake up. How are you feeling?" asked Shikamaru, smiling while seeing Naruto feeling his body aching near the ribs. "Ino strapped you up while you're asleep," explained Shikamaru, earning a nod from Naruto who asked about the mission's progression. "I've already informed the Hokage of the mission being a success and Kaido informed Kumo to send someone here to collect the bounties of the 10 missing nuns. Congratulations, Naruto. You're rich now. The 9 you beat gathered quite a lot of bounty and Kumo have already paid the total amount to Tsunade who in turn will give it to you, plus the mission salary," explained Shikamaru, before seeing Naruto smile and get up from his bed. Wearing only his pants and a white t-shirt, Naruto walked to the mansion searching for Kaido, until he found the man drinking sake in the living room. "Hey there Naruto, I'm glad you woke up. I have great news to tell you," said Kaido, before Naruto telling him he already know about the bounty money on the missing nuns, but Kaido smiled and said that he wasn't talking about that. "The money is good and all, but that's not what I want to tell you about. Your ninjato is ready," here stated Kaido, before throwing the sword to Naruto. The blonde was ecstatic to hold this next sword and remembered how well he fought with his kunai as a compliment to his katana. "I observed your fighting skills yesterday, Naruto, and I know you'd be perfect for the Kenjutsu style described by this scroll," said Kaido, earning a nod and a smile from Naruto who in turn, opened the scroll and read the title and name of the Kenjutsu style. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.